So this is the first chapter that the stranger had written. And so you have the narrator from the first chapter reading this, and the part is included. So this is one of those things like the Tales of the Arabian Nights, where you have a story within a story. Though this actually makes up the bulk of the story, in that the story around it is just sort of a framing device. And so he's led by the knight in armor, and he sees a little girl with a ring of flowers around her head, and that's about all she's wearing. And it was common back, way back in the, you know, way back, for little children to not wear much of anything because clothes were hard to make and expensive, and children grew out of them so quickly. And it wasn't just, it was just a thing. It was, that's the way it was. Now, one of the cool things that I loved about the description of the girl was the word cataract to describe her hair. So a cataract is the original meaning of the word. It has several meanings that have surpassed the original meaning so much. The original meaning of the word was a set of rapids. So if you have a set of rapids in a river, it's called a cataract, because as the water flows rapidly over the rocks, you have this sort of white foam, and cataract comes from a word meaning white. So when people develop cataracts in their eyes, that's the more common thing that you hear about. It's where the lens starts to crystallize and gets hard and becomes opaque, and their eyes start looking white. So their eyes looked white and murky, so it was described as a cataract, just like the flow in the water. But here he's describing her hair as a cataract. So that kind of gives, it gives the impression of flowing water. And so that's what her hair looked like. It was this long flow of flowing curls as opposed to tight, tangled curls. But so her hair was described as flowing curls. And they found another military parade coming in, and he described the castle. Big stone structure with a big gate. So it's a very impressive medieval castle. I mean, you don't see much of those in the United States, but they're all over the place in Europe because they were the thing to do when you needed to defend an area. You built a big stone wall and you'd put stone buildings in. And because stone walls and stone buildings were difficult to make, the commoners' huts around it were made out of mud and sticks and thatched roofs. Now, thatching is it's usually like straw type of thing, where you have stems of grass and they're bound together and they're laid out flat on the roof. So what happens is that you have this grass that's bound up and it's covering the roof of the house. And you'd have a framework of sticks, and then you'd have other sticks running like this. And then you take a bundle of straw, is about as long as your arm, as long as you can find it, and you'd tie it and you'd put it up on the roof. And then you'd put another layer, and then another layer, another layer, another layer. And you build up. So what happens is you start at the bottom, you build up. And so you have the ones on the bottom, and then you have the ones just above that. And the rain falls down on the top ones, and it rolls down onto the ones that are just slightly further down. It rolls down on those, and rolls down on those, and rolls down on those. So it just kind of flows off of the roof. And this is a good way to make roofs. It's strong enough to keep off the rain and keep off the snow. If you bind it tightly, the water tends to follow the path down. Sometimes they leak. But if it starts to leak, you just get more straw, and straw is readily available, and it's easy to find and easy to, hey, there's tall grass growing. Well, you take it, you cut it, bind it up, throw it on the roof. Take it, cut it, bind it up, throw it on the roof, throw it on the roof, throw it on the roof, and eventually you have a thatched roof. So this is something that takes a bit of labor to make, doesn't last particularly long, but it has the advantage of being easy and inexpensive. So that's a thatched roof.